600 metres, the next episode in full flight now. The favourite is as sweet as a nut, and the further they go, the further he roars away. You'll see him a bit more in the carnival, won't you? The next episode, he trotted in. Monarch towards the inside, the favourite realised the front. Brave Monarch dashed away. The Guineas is his. Chupacabra charging home. Brave Monarch beat Chupacabra.
Race number 1 at the Gold Coast is a benchmark 78 handicap over the 1400 metres, and doesn't Daggers look clearly the one to be here with all the scratchings coming into Barry number 12. Tommy Barry on for Tony Golan. This horse was very good last start in my opinion, starting as favourite, and ran really well behind Bundella. He's also in race 2, but personally I think he should come here because in this race I think while he carries the weight and has a slightly wider draw, I think he's just got lengths on this field. Pasima in for second, trained locally. Corey Keating's on, gets the weight down to the 60 kilos first up, and this horse will run a race at $10. His last preparation was very good, winning a couple on the coast, and will handle the sting out of the track. Larrikin Rogue in for third. First up over the 1400 metres, he could mean business. Ben Thompson takes the ride for the trainer. Chris Anderson. Barrier number 4 could put him right in this, but he has to come up lengths to beat Daggers, and 7's in for 4th. Daggers for mine, race 1 at the Gold Coast. Race number 2 at the Gold Coast is a 1200 metre benchmark 85 handicap, and I've got the same horse on top in the first 2 races, believe it or not. He's got to come out of one of them. Daggers in the race 2 at the Gold Coast. If he races here, he's also going to be hard to beat. Tommy Berry on with 55.5 from barrier 10. Tony Golan trains, but Golan's got a couple in this race, being Now Is the Hour, Daggers, and Bundella, with Warby as well. So he's got 4 representatives in this race, so I think he might want to split his horses up, and Daggers might go to the first, in my opinion. But if he's here, he'll also win. I think he's very competitive with the lightweight, but Bundella does get the weight swing in his favour. But Bundella gets down in the weights to the 57.5. Going on trains wide draw, and Bundella was hard fit last start, where Daggers was only second up. Soothsayer in for 4th. This horse will run really well here. Second up, first up off a pretty big spell. Michael Rod on here, second up. Barry 9 for Michael Freeman, and will run a race. Train locally at the coast, and he won't mind the sting out of the track either. And Sailor's Secret in for 4th. But Daggers will win if he's here. Race number 3 at the Gold Coast is the Group 3 Tab Ken Russell Memorial Classic over the 1200 metres, and I've got St. Gothard on top. I think if this horse is the one to beat, but I by no means think he's a good thing by any margin. He's going to have his challenges, but I just think class will prevail, considering he's the New South Wales 2-year-old James McDonald and Chris Waller on trains, and I think that this horse can show his class, and it'll be an easy win, I think, but he will have challenges. Bezalius in for second. This horse was very good winning his debut. Michael Freeman trains Tommy Barry, and then settle from barrier 6. Will sit off them and come charging home. Boomali trained by Golan, who's had 3 runs this time in. Ben Thompson on with the 55 kilos with a lightweight, will handle the ground and gets barrier number 3, and could be the one flashing late. And Silk and Salute. I think if this horse is probably a little bit under the odds, considering he is 2 from 2, and they've been good wins by narrow margins. But he's got to come back to the 1200 metres, and he's got to handle the wet track, something he hasn't done in either one. Well, he hasn't been exposed to a wet track, but just a little bit of a career. But St. Gothard should prove too classy for them in the Ken Russell. Race number 4 at the Gold Coast is the listed Silk Stocking over the 1400 metres, and I'm with Tomato Toasty here. Third up, hard fit, Timmy Clark in the saddle with the 54 kilos, and that just tells me, considering that Tim Clark's never ridden this horse before, straight to the front, and we know that this horse can take a position. Got shuffled back to near last start, was charging home, and first up, sat 4 wide the trip, and it was only beaten by Plaintiff, and that's good enough form for a race like this, considering this is only his 7th start. This is only her 7th start. Got the sex wrong there. Pippi Beach in for second. I think if this horse can run a race here, First up for James McDonald. It says first up on the form, but it will have residual fitness. J Mac, Chris Waller, barrier number 1. Should be on the fence and peel out and be competitive late. She's got pizzazz. I've got her in for third with a lightweight and the fact because of the fact she'll handle the ground and is hard fit and has a good rating to play with. And 10 deep in for 4. Tony Gollan for Emily Lang for Tony Gollan with a lightweight. Just a wide draws the crew, but is flying. Tomato Toasty. Hopefully Class can come to the fore and she can win. Race number 5 at the Gold Coast is the listed gold bracelet over the 1800 metres, and it looks a one-horse affair. This is my second best bet of the day, and it's Single Red. Craig Grills comes over from New Zealand to ride this horse, trained by a New Zealander and Andrew Forsman. Only 3 lengths off. I hope he wins, and prior to that was beaten by her in a over 2100 metres and gave her a race. With her coming down the outside. I think from barrier number 5 should either lead or sit outside Spicy Lou, who looks the only and main danger to the favourite. But I just think topping the lane, this horse will be given a couple of cracks with the whip and off he goes. It just looks to be the one. Spicy Lou in for second, won the Princess Stakes last start impressively, and gets the barrier to do something again here and will handle the ground for Nick Olive. Sotono Invader comes out of the Good Racing in Sydney, hard fit, good draw. Ryan Maloney in the settle for Chris Lees, and bonus season for Graham Begg. Geordie Childs comes here off just winning a maiden, but the Begg team are absolutely flying at the moment, and you can't dismiss their horses. But Single Red in the gold bracelet just looks his race to lose. Race number 6 at Gold Coast is the 4X bat out of hell over the 1,000 metres, and I've got Golden Boom on top. I think that he, while carrying the 58 kilos, gives the whole field weight. He's deserving to be, because he is clearly the class of the field, going off of a rating of 101. And I think that this horse is extremely hard to beat here. Ryan Maloney in the settle for Tony Gollan. This horse should be flying along in front, or he can settle from the back and come charging home. He's a very adaptable horse, and if you go off his last couple of runs, you think probably not. He's not a bigger chance as I'm putting him up to be. But if you go back to his Melbourne preparation, he was good enough to go to Melbourne. He ran a couple of cracking races down there, and I think at $10 is a good price to find out. Flying Destiny in for second, which I can see being well backed on the day. 5th up, hard fit, 52. Michael Freeman, Jamie Mallam, good draw, and will handle the track, and has one on the coast before. It's the main danger, and is a big danger. Scampy in for third. Just a query if this horse will handle a wet track, and unflinching will handle the track and will be flying up on speed. But I think that Class should come to the fore, and Golden Boom should take another notch at the winning cherry. Race 7 at the Gold Coast is the Group 2 TAB AD Hollindale Stakes over the 1800 metres, and I found it very hard to split 2 horses in this race, being Pride of Jenny and Half Yours. But I've settled narrowly on Pride of Jenny because the map, everything sets up so well for her here. Now, I know what a lot of people are going to say. She's getting on in age. She was well beaten last start. But you got to think about it. She was off a heavy track, 2,000 metres Australian Cup, back to the 1,600 metres on dry ground. We know she's better we know she's better with the sting out. She gets barrier number 3. She's gonna lead here for absolute fun. There's nothing in this field that can take her on, in my opinion. And with that, if she can get a resting run for, say, 5 to 700 metres and then amp it up from there, I don't think they're going to get past her. Half Yours is the only horse I can see in this field beating her. Brings the class. Second up off a 1,400 metre run last preparation, won the naturalism, and then ran over the 2,000. Running home hard, finishing a half length off Via Sistina in the Turnbull, running straight past Aliana, and guess who won it? Sir Delis. Isn't he in good form? Birdman in for third. Pride of Jenny spanked this horse last time they met in the Australian Cup, so I can't see how he's favourite over her, and she's a hustler. Ran really well first up in the race that Pride of Jenny comes out of. The name escapes me off the top of my head, but will run well here and has eyes on the Q22 and Dooming Cup, as does Half Yours. But I think Pride of Jenny leads, sting out of the ground, and we know what she can do. Race number 8 at the Gold Coast, and this is where my best bit of the day comes up, and it's Beedman. I know, again, he's had a couple of chances. He won first up, he settled wide into his second run, and he settled wide again last start. But what he brings here is the class factor of this field, and he's hard fit. Beskar was 101 when it won last 2 starts ago, and was probably more or less the best horse in the race, winning last start, and has to, in my opinion, come up to the level of Beedman. James McDonald rode this horse all preparation and was very good in a recent trial without his winkers on, and they remain off on race day, importantly. So they're trying something different here, and I think it's going to be a winning factor here. I'm not saying that the winkers have been the case of him being beaten, but I just think he hasn't had good luck with the draws. He hasn't had a good fare with the draws here either, but in terms of who wins it out of him and Beskar, who look the main 2 class runners and main 2 chances in the race, I think it's all about him because he can go forward while Beskar can as well. I just don't think he's got the early speed of Beedman, and that's why I like him, and I just think Beedman's a better horse. Sylph in for third, will run really well here with a lightweight, good draw, but only comes into this as a maiden and would need to lift significantly to win, and Motorsports will be charging home from the back. But Beedman, my best bet of the day at the Gold Coast in the Group 3 Gold Coast Guineas. Race number 9 to finish the day at the Gold Coast is the listed Australian Turf Club Trophy, and class coming to the fore again. Hidden Wealth, James McDonald, Tony Gollan gives them weight, but will give them a beating, in my opinion. This horse should be flying along up on speed, use his race fitness, kick away, and make them. If they're going to beat him, they're going to have to. If he gets beaten, something's going to have to follow the horse that does, because this horse, in my opinion, is just got lengths on this field. Midnight in Tokyo in for second. This horse was very good against the fillies and mares last preparation. 2 seconds and 2 wins. Gets in with a lightweight for Ryan Maloney and Tom Pollard, who's now training on his own right and gets a good draw in barrier number 3. About to Explode was very good last start and has been this preparation, though draws wide. Angie Jones won't be on because she will be out with an injury. So interesting to see who replaces her, and Ouroboros in for 4. For Hidden Wealth, in my opinion, class to come for the 4, and J-Mac to ride out the last on Hidden Wealth. Thank you everyone for watching my preview for the Gold Coast for the Hollindale Stakes meeting, and I'll see you next preview for the Doomben 10,000. It's going to be a cracker. Thank you again for watching.